see the hostage. She's in the kids' room.
Help me.
Covering. He got me.
All right, I got the window.
Go.
Back in June, summer of 2014, a fresh and unique game was first teased to an audience of 49,000 people at an electronic entertainment expo in Los Angeles, California. Rainbow Six Siege is a tactical shooter game, and it is one of the most popular ones still to this day. Developed by Ubisoft Montreal using the Anvil Next engine, the development of the game took around 3 years, beginning in January of 2013. The game's destruction engine, which allowed players to destroy walls and create new paths, was one of the most significant features. It was a unique and interesting game that couldn't be compared to other tactical shooters of its time. After a year and a half of waiting, the open beta was finally released worldwide for PlayStation 4, Windows, and Xbox One, and the player base grew fast. The game was designed to be a multiplayer-focused game, and Ubisoft Montreal focused heavily on developing the game's mechanics to make it as tactical and team-based as possible. Rainbow Six Siege was released with a total of 20 operators. Each operator had unique gadgets, weapons, and abilities that players could use to complete objectives. The game was also released with 11 maps, and it featured 2 game modes, Bomb and Hostage. The game's initial release was met with mixed reviews, with many praising the game's unique gameplay mechanics, but criticizing the game's lack of content and its connection issues. However, Ubisoft Montreal continued to support the game with numerous updates, and the game's popularity began to grow. Fast forward to February of 2016, the game released its first major update, adding a new map and operators. The update also included numerous bug fixes and improvements to the game's matchmaking system. From here on, these expansions were released every 3 months, bringing the community new operators and maps to play. In support of Season 1 Pro League coming to the game in 2017, Rainbow Six Siege released a bundle of Pro League grade skins and Glacier skins for just $6 per pack. These skins are no longer available in-store today, but have been labeled an epic rarity belonging to Seasonal. On June 9th of 2016, Ubisoft released the Starter Edition of Rainbow Six Siege, including all content in the Standard Edition with 6 free operators and free in-game currency. This brought in a whole new fan base and increased the player base by a lot. Around this time, a popular figure emerged within the community named Kickstar. On June 12th of 2016, Kickstar uploaded a video to YouTube titled 8-Second Ace, which now has just under 1 million views. This video became one of the most popular videos related to Rainbow Six Siege, as well as creating some of the most popular figures within the community, including Bolo, Macy J, Serenity 17, and even Meaty Marley.
Behind.
Okay, get that.
Oh,
God.
Year 2 then began on February 7th of 2017, introducing Operation Velvet Shell, along with operators Jackal and Mira. This season became their most anticipated and hyped season yet, as Jackal and Mira brought a whole new dynamic to the game with their unique and challenging abilities everyone was eager to try. They also added a refreshing new map, Coastline, and new weapons including Mira's Vector and Jackal's PDW-9. With the start of Pro League on March 4th, 2017, Rainbow Six Siege entered the world of eSports, featuring the best teams from around the world. Season 1 brought us players such as Pingu, Canadian, King George, and Pojo Man, creating a fan base within the game and community. With an average player base of 24,000, Ubisoft released Season 2 of Year 2, Operation Health, on June 7th, 2017. Operation Health became their 6th DLC expansion and their most controversial yet. The release offered no new content and instead included bug fixes and improved matchmaking. However, on September 5th, 2017, Ubisoft released Operation Blood Orchid and brought many changes, both good and bad. It was also the first expansion to add more than 2 operators along with the new map Theme Park. The expansion added 3 new operators, including Ying and Legion from Special Duties Unit and Ella from Grom, whose sister Zofia would later be released alongside Dokkaebi and Vigil in White Noise. Other changes included lighting fixes, operator and map texture optimizations, playlist changes, and even operator balancing, including the removal of Jaeger and Bandit ACOG. After Season 2, we begin to notice a massive change to the appearance of the game. The advertised trailer for Season 1 was more detailed and realistic compared to that of Season 3. Unfortunately, this was done so to compensate for the overwhelming amount of players within the servers and to reduce the overall graphic fidelity from map changes. Some might say it was only downhill from here. For all of the skilled mechanical players in the game, Year 3 Season 1 Operation Chimera would be the last season where quick peeking would be in the game. This would be a way to shorten the skill gap for new players. A skill perfected by popular players such as Bolo, Skittles, and Hixcap, quick peeking only granted a momentary advantage based on ping and therefore created a disadvantage to the enemy. Ubisoft aimed to balance all aspects of fair play and create a more realistic and easier experience. Operation Chimera also brought along a new game mode titled Outbreak, which ended on April 3, 2018. This game mode featured an exclusive collection of cosmetics available only during the time of the event. This popular game mode consisted of you and 2 other players fighting your way through multiple level segments, through streets, buildings, and alleyways all filled with infected hordes. In Season 2 of Year 3, during Operation Parabellum, Rainbow Six Siege underwent a massive UI overhaul, as well as map changes and new gameplay elements. These changes included a new pick and ban system allowing players to vote off one attacker and defender operator in ranked and unranked playlists for the entire match. A 6th choice feature was also available for players to swap their operators after a 30-second reveal to the enemy team. However, this feature was later removed from both ranked and unranked playlists and is now only available in custom matches in Pro League. Fast forward to Year 4 Season 1, Ubisoft shared details on what changes were coming for existing operators in Operation Burnt Horizon, released on March 6, 2019. Most of the changes were substantial. However, the biggest of all was the Ashe nerf, which removed the ACOG scope from her R4C. Ubisoft announced during the 6th Invitational the reason behind Ashe R4C ACOG removal had to do with there being a really high pick rate and also because they wanted to reduce the amount of spawn peeking. Ashe wasn't the only one impacted by operator changes either. Lion, Frost, Castle, and even Glaz were also targeted for reworks. Operation Ember Rise brought hope back into the community with the release of the new rank champion on September 11th of 2019. With many changes to mechanical skill, many players were happy with this rank addition as it separated the good players from the bad. As well as the release of both Mira and Smoke Elite sets, the White Mark bombers were removed from Terrorist Hunt and the design of the deployable shield was changed, allowing both sides to see through the shield. During Operation Void Edge, Year 5, Season 1, Rainbow Six Siege reached a peak of 198,567 players, with an average of 119,000 players online at once. That was a 22,000 player increase since February 2020. Because of COVID-19, 15 million new registered accounts were made for the game, pushing the total registered accounts on all platforms up to 70 million. The game reached its highest peak to date in March 2021, with over 200,000 players actively playing at the launch of the Crimson Heist seasonal update on Steam, alongside a free-to-play weekend event. Many new features became available during this season, including a fan-favorite map rework on Oregon, 2 new game modes titled Golden Gun and the Grand Larceny, and of course, the infamous Ashe Tomb Raider Elite set and Zofia's Dutch Boyeva Elite set. The main menu was also redesigned to be more minimalistic and aesthetic to match other games at this time, as well as other gameplay reworks that were suggested by the community. The community also received 2 new operators named Oryx and Iana, both with unique and exciting new abilities that thrilled many. Things were looking up. However, after Season 1, gadget implementations began to take over the game. With each new expansion came a new operator and gadget, and soon enough players would rely heavily on their gadgets over their tactical shooter skill. The game that Ubisoft first created changed incredibly over just 4 years, making drastic changes that the community didn't even ask for. One of these changes included the removal of ACOG and replacing it with the 2.5x scope and other new scopes. Customization of sensitivity per zoom level and constant recoil changes upset the community and made it difficult and frustrating to keep up with. Not only that, but cheater problems began to increase, with Ubisoft doing little to nothing about it. After the release of Operation Crimson Heist on March 16th of 2021, Rainbow Six Siege's player base began to decrease, and fast. Dropping roughly 5,000 players a month, Ubisoft failed to listen to their community, and their changes kept losing them players. After the release of Operation Solar Raid on December 6th of 2022, Rainbow Six Siege gained over 15,000 new players, making that their most successful expansion since Operation Crimson Heist back in March of 2021. And as of today, Rainbow Six Siege still remains active, with an average player base of roughly 80,000 players on Steam since the release of Operation Commanding Force on March 7th of 2023. And although it's unlikely Rainbow Six Siege will see as many players online as it did back in Year 1, the game has sadly seen a steady decline in players since March of 2021. Of course, the game is not dying, but if the number of active players continue to decrease at the current rate, the game could really struggle over the next 2 or 3 years.